So,
Dude, are you kidding me? Is this a fucking joke, bro? Don't you see these goddamn cameras, bro?
my bad.
You know, dude, every hour that we're in here, China is billing us $1 billion more. This is a government subsidized podcast.
I gotta pay my credit card. I put it on Do Not Disturb. My bad. As I was saying, gloss it over, edit that out.
We'll always be friends forever. Yeah, forever.
Welcome to Your Only Friends, where friendship is first, but comedy is always. I am your host, Jared Dykas. This is a reminder. We are your only friends. On today's episode, we have not only a Jacksonville comic in the house, but someone who's became a dear friend of mine through me staying at his house in Jacksonville Beach, through him staying at my house this week in St. Petersburg. We might just move in together. We don't know yet. Not really. He has a girlfriend. This guy is amazing. You might have seen him at the Comedy Zone in Jacksonville. You might have seen him in Lords of Dogtown. I present to the show my friend Jimmy Connor. Jimmy O'Connor.
There you go. Hell of an intro until the end.
Yeah, wow, man. Jimmy O'Connor is a lot different than Jimmy O'Connor.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. I don't want to speak too soon, but because this might not be a real story, but I was thinking about quitting the podcast maybe 7 months ago. And so at this time I was going through a major depression episode. And, wow, can't believe that, right? Awesome. But Lance Weiss was in Jacksonville and someone went up to him and was like, "Oh, you're Lance Weiss from Your Only Friends." And, he was like, "Oh, wow, you know Jared?" And the person was like, "Oh, I don't know Jared, but I know the podcast." And was that you or was that a different schmeckle?
I think that might have been me.
Okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
That was the reason I kept going.
Really?
Because I was like, dude, there's a random comic in Jacksonville that is watching the show and doesn't even know who Jared Dykas is, but is like, oh, okay, I'm a fan of Your Only Friends. And that gave me hope to keep going.
Yeah, well, you're up.
Now here we are.
Yeah, here we are, full circle.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think that probably was me because, so Lance and I were on a show at Comedy Zone in February of that year. And then I saw him and I was just like, oh, this dude's so good.
Yeah.
And he was really, really nice. He talked to me about comedy for a while. He was just really...
Was that the first time you met Lance?
Yeah. We were on the same Best of Jack show. And he was very complimentary. That was my first time on the Comedy Zone stage. So that meant a lot to me too. And yeah, then I followed him on Instagram. And then he reposted the podcast clip, and I was like, all right, well, because I drive a lot for work, so I'm always listening to podcasts. I was like, all right, I'll find out more about Lance. And then you guys did a great interview.
Thank you.
And I was just like, oh, yeah, this is sick. And then he came back to Jacksonville, and I was just talking to him, and I was like, yeah, I saw you on the pod, and we have a lot of similar opinions about comedy and
politics.
Not politics. I am not political at all. I barely know what's going on.
That's a good point. That's my political affiliation too, is barely knowing what's going on.
Yeah, I think if it doesn't, obviously politics do directly affect, we're starting off real hot on politics, so fuck. I think politics do directly affect everyone, but I don't think they do in my life as much as other people think they do in their lives. If I can still walk my dog on the beach, still do comedy, still make money, that's it. Still hang out with my girlfriend. I don't really care about anything else.
As long as I'm not being supervised by a Somalian secret agent while I'm hanging out with my quote unquote girlfriend, then it doesn't do anything. As long as I'm not walking my dog and my dog is a robot built by China, you know what I mean? Then that's fine, bro.
Yeah.
There's fluoride in this water, bro.
Yeah.
You know that?
No.
You know what so yeah, I'm going to get into it, but I don't want to make this all about Chuga because it's not. It's about Jimmy. So as I do my Chuga, which is the only sponsor of Your Only Friends, Why don't you tell us about how you got into comedy?
So
And also document how long you've been doing it as well.
Okay. So I have been doing comedy for a little over 2 years. I started in Jacksonville. So I'm from Cape Coral, Fort Myers, which is south of you guys here in St. Pete, like 2 hours.
How close is that to Naples?
We're about an hour
I would guess
north of Naples.
It's different.
Yeah. So I love stand-up like pretty much since I was a kid. And like whatever tangent. So I was like really big into Jeff Dunham as a kid.
Oh, really?
Because that was like
nothing, man.
Yeah, he's a ventriloquist, and he was like kind of safer for kids. I think it wasn't like clean comedy, but
And that was all over Comedy Central, am I right?
yeah. So I watched that a lot as a kid, and everyone kept telling me like he's a ventriloquist, and I didn't like know it. I knew it was like a puppet thing, but I didn't. I was just so young, I didn't know that was like different from a stand-up, and I was just like, I want to do that, like whatever that is of like being by yourself on stage, like nothing. I mean, he had puppets, but like other stand-ups just had, the microphone and the stool. I think stand-up's like just a super pure art form where it's like just you kind of verse the audience and you're winning by making them laugh, if that makes sense. To where even like musicians and stuff, it's like
That's an interesting way to put it.
it's like the musician and the instrument. So it's like something that helps them convey what they want to do or say or feel and like emote people to feel. But stand-up's sick because it's just you and your written thoughts and then like your wit. So I think stand-up's like a very, very pure art form. And a lot of people,
So pure.
yeah, a lot of people probably think whatever that, but
No, a lot of people watching the show are probably like hard as shit right now. You saying that?
yeah, stand-up's great. So
Dude, are you kidding me? Is this a fucking joke, bro? Don't you see these goddamn cameras, bro?
my bad.
Dude, every hour that we're in here, China is billing us $1 billion more. This is a government subsidized podcast.
I gotta pay my credit card. I put it on Do Not Disturb. My bad. As I was saying, gloss it over, edit that out.
No, we're not. We're keeping that.
Keep it. So yeah, I loved stand up as a kid, and there was no stand up scene in like Cape Coral, Fort Myers. Like we have Snappers Comedy Club in Fort Myers, but there's no like local scene.
And mics and
There's
stuff like that.
Zero. Like when I started, I actually did one. It wasn't even an open mic. It was a comedians workshop for comedians.
Oh, man.
And it was once a week at this place called Ollie's Pub, which was like a record and like beer place. And that was the first time I ever like did stand up, but there was no open.
How old are you?
24.
Wow.
Yeah. But there was no open mics, and I was like, all right, I need to move somewhere so I can do stand up. And then
Really?
yeah, pretty much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's kind of part of the reason why you went to Jax.
Yeah, definitely. Jacksonville, I knew was like a real city. I knew it had a stand up scene.
How did you know?
Just like Jacksonville comedy on Instagram.
Really?
Plus, like I just looked up Jacksonville comedy and I saw they had a comedy zone. So I was like, okay, there's definitely something there of the comedy scene. And yeah, through like work and a few other things, I picked Jacksonville, but I was going to move to a city on the East Coast, like one of the major cities. And yeah.
Did you already have your job at that point?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I've had the different variations of my job since like 2018.
Wow.
Yeah. So was that 8 years?
Crazy that 2018 was that long ago.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I started with my boss my freshman summer of college.
Does your boss support your comedy?
Yeah. He came out to so I hosted for DC Benny at Snappers, November 28th or 29th. And he came out with like the whole family, and his mom came. She's like 86.
Oh, man.
She had a
I love DC.
They love DC. I was looking over DC. I was looking over, and they are like forward laughers. But they're like that. It was sick. But yeah, I had a really, really good host set. I was very happy with that set, and that was like I had like 40 people there, so that was all their.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah, that was their.
You draw 40 people?
Yeah, it didn't get him any more money though. And I asked him, he just had like not a door deal or like a guarantee
or something like that. I mean, dude, but DC Benny.
Yeah, that's a big credit in the.
Just put DC Benny as the credit.
Yeah,
on like your headlining stuff. You know, people have like Netflix, Comedy Central. Just put DC Benny's face.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, he ripped. I mean, he's a friend of the pod, master of the craft, great guy.
Amazing. I told you this, but I'll just say for some of the people listening, I went to Helium Comedy Club in Philly for the New Year's Eve show, and Ted Alexander, I believe his name was the headliner, and I went up to him after and I was like, hey man, like, you know, I know DC Benny, and he was like, what's your name? Tell DC I love him and I miss him. And then we took a selfie together, and all DC did was like the message. Not even heart it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of mad at DC for that. He's not going to watch this. And he will. They will. They never know.
Maybe if we talk about him enough.
Yeah.
Thanks for the spot, DC. You're the man, dude.
Yeah. And also, let's take a moment and thank Adam Clayton for being the producer today.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Adam. We need to show appreciation to him. He'll be coming back to the pod. A lot of people love him making fun of me on the pod. A lot of my close friends thought that clip of him making fun of me was really funny, so we'll invite him back very soon. Yeah, DC Benny, what a guy. Who do you like more, DC Benny or Lance? Okay, don't answer that, bro. Are you kidding me? Don't even answer that. Don't even try to be politically correct and answer that, because we'll talk about it offline.
Okay.
So talk to me about some of your like influences when you say you were watching stand-up as a younger kid. Did any of those bleed into your style now, or did that come later in your like teen and early 20s years?
I think I started stand up for the first like 6 months as being like a Jesselnick ripoff, just like dark one-liners. Because he's still is like, he's one of my favorite comedians. Yeah. It's just smart. It's dark. I was like, all right, I can be smart and dark. And he even says like all the time, he's like, yeah, try to be better than me. He's like, try. He's like, you're not going to. He's like, I have this lane and it is his, which is fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, and he even said that, like, I got a lot of, because I listened to all the comedy podcasts for years and years and years. And I was just.
Even before stand up.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I was just like trying to kind of study when I couldn't do stand up to try to just like get as much information as I could. And he said something that I think is very true, even the open micers that I see. He's like, the first year that you do stand-up, you are just kind of like imitating someone that you like a lot. And then it takes you a while to find your voice and your perspective on stuff, which that was like almost dead nuts accurate for me. Because I would say probably like a year and maybe 4 months in, I started to like really find my voice. And now you're just progressing.
What does that mean to you?
So
I hear that all the time. Comedians, and DC Benny was the first person that I remember telling me like, hey, you know, you're going to find your voice over time. And I always think about that. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So what does finding your voice mean to Jimmy O'Connor?
So I think it is a kind of collective perspective throughout your set. Okay, like, let's say you're doing a 10-minute set. Your first 2 minutes will kind of blend comedically into your last 2 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you can see the pattern, whether it's like just like set up punchline, whether it's like wordplay, misdirect. You can kind of create like a cohesive set. And obviously it's like, it's all jokes, and jokes vary whether you want to do a setup punch, but like, you're kind of in a similar vein of comedy throughout your set. So I think that
if you could describe your voice, how would you describe it?
My buddy Jack Putnam said it very well. Shout out Jack. He said seriously silly, like
I can see that.
Serious tone, serious kind of like talking to, and then like silly punchline or delivery.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, so I think that's probably a really good way to describe my stand-up, but follow me on Instagram at Getting Jimmy with it and see for yourself.
I'm Jimmy with it. Shout to me about the and yeah, you'll plug at the end all the plugs.
Yeah, sure.
Talk to me about the tats, dude.
So I have a sleeve in progress. We're almost done. We're probably like maybe 90% done. From the great Peta KKM on Instagram. He is a South Korean tattoo artist, and he has a studio in LA called Non From Seoul with a bunch of other South Korean artists.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he's like one of the.
You flew out to LA for that.
Yeah, I flew out to LA, I think 15 trips through the past like year and a half.
Wow, that's an expensive tattoo. And when you were out in LA, you also went to the Comedy Store. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Sure. Headline for 50 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, past the headline at the Comedy Store?
Yeah. Literally my buddies and I have a comedy group chat, and I sent them a picture of the Comedy Store sign, and I was like, where's the open mic sign up? Yeah, I went to the Comedy Store maybe like 4 or 5 times throughout the LA trips. And I would have gone more, but you just have to, I don't have a car, so you have to Uber everywhere, and every Uber is like $70 in LA.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I went to the Comedy Store, and I learned a lot about comedy and like the different levels and just seeing comics. And this is really good advice, and I think a lot of people that are in comedy don't say it enough of like, just don't quit. Because I went to the Belly Room for a show, and I saw a showcase. It was 12 comedians, and 9 of them legitimately like were not funny. And that's not me saying it as like a comic. Like
The room wasn't?
the room was not laughing.
And how many people were in the room?
It was sold out. It was like 70.
Wow.
So of the 12 comics, 9 were not funny. 3 were great. I'm like, oh, yeah, you guys are here at the store for a reason because you're hilarious. But 9 of them were not good. And I was just like mentally blown away. I was like, this is the Comedy Store. I thought everyone would be like a killer. And I get they were using that room to like work out stuff. But at a certain level, the stuff that you work out should be like decently funny at least. Like it was a few, I'd say maybe like 4 or 5 of the 9 were like bad.
Oh, man.
Where I was like, I can get on stage and do a lot better. Like not trying to toot my own horn. It's just like, this is just like room was not laughing. The room was not laughing. It was silent.
What do you do when the room gets silent on you, though? Because it happens to everyone, I assume. But like, is there anything that like goes through your head? I love asking that question.
When the room goes silent, I just check in with the crowd a lot. So like, we talked about that this morning. Like and I even did that. We did the Funny Bone open mic, and it was insane. There was like 50 people there.
Yeah.
It
took a shit on stage. He wiped it on this old lady.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That was crazy.
Yeah, Adam threw a beer bottle at someone. It killed. It killed. When the room goes silent, I think it's best to just like reset and address the room. Of like, I mean, it's something as simple as saying like, okay, you guys didn't like that joke, moving on. For something like that, obviously you want it to be funny and witty and whatever. But like that happens to everyone. That happens to really good headliners. Or the joke in your head, you'll think it'll get a certain response, and then it might get not that response. And then you have a facial expression that the audience reads, and they're like, okay, why did he think that joke was weird? So it's kind of like you just want to keep, I think you want to keep stand-up comedy in the room. Like it's a very in the room live energy. And if you separate yourself from being like on stage to the crowd, like you're talking at the crowd, I think that creates like a wall between you and the audience, of the audience thinking like, okay, if this joke bombs and he doesn't address it, he's just like moving on. And like some comics are fine with that.
It's like robotic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like robotic. So I think it's best to keep the energy in the room, and it gives you a lot more play with the audience. And like spontaneous, I think this is also not talked about enough. I think spontaneous comedy is the funniest comedy.
You mean improv? I'm kidding. That's a
yeah.
Fuck improv. Fuck improv.
Hey, I do a lot of
Get off kidding,
improv spot.
Yeah, because it's like the only other shitty club in Jacksonville.
Yeah, we have a.
I'm kidding, bro.
No, I mean they're a great improv troupe. Shout out First Coast Comedy.
No, yeah, shout out First Coast.
Yeah, you did spot.
Spot there is fun.
Yeah. But like, the spontaneous comedy of like, the crowd work of like someone being quick on their feet and someone being witty. And it's like, I had a piece of information that I got, right now. And then 5 seconds later, I crafted a good joke off of that piece of information that I wouldn't have known. So that's why I think like crowd work clips are so big. And like comedians are great at crowd work clips because it's just being witty on stage.
Yeah.
So I think spontaneous comedy is like the best form of comedy, and if you keep checking in with the crowd, that gives yourself a lane to be a lot more spontaneous, other than like compared to like what I see a good bit in Tampa is the comics just like start their set and then they just monologue. So like
Do the material.
yeah, whether
Do their job.
yeah, they do their job, they do their jokes, and they don't check in with the crowd. And like I host a lot in Jacksonville because I love hosting. I think it's a very important part of comedy is like starting the show right on a good note. And like my whole set, and particularly my host set, is like audience participation. Like I ask them a lot of questions. I try to get the room as a collective feeling as I can before I pass it off to like the feature or the headliner, or just whoever the next comic is.
So I want to take a disclaimer break, let you drink your water, your fluoride water, while I sit here with my mineral water and get hard.
Think you're better than me?
Nah, no, I don't. But speaking of that, I've been doing comedy like 2.5 years. You've been doing comedy for 2.5 years. On this episode, of which it looks like we're about 20 minutes in, there's been a lot of talk about our perspectives on comedy. And I just want to say to the audience, all that is our perspective on comedy. We're not saying that this is right or wrong. We're giving you our perspective in 2026 right now, right? Sometimes people will be like, oh, you got to get real comics on this show. Like they'll say that to me, like older comedians that are like, established. And my response to that is fuck that. I want to get my friends on the show. And in 5 years from now, when you're headlining and I'm headlining, we're going to look back on this episode and we might say, hey, that was a really great thought for us to have 2 years into comedy, to say that energy. Are you going to burp in the middle of this?
So, bro, what the hell is going on, bro?
Sorry.
What's going on, man?
You could. No, yeah, we might just look back, or the Martians might look back and be like, hey, these guys are onto something. Let's invade Earth and see what their open mic comedy is like, right?
Yeah. I agree. I think like wherever you are at experience wise, you will always look back. Like, let's say, 2 years from now, when we're 4 years in, we're like, oh, we didn't know anything 2 years in.
Yeah.
And then it's you look back at yourself where you were 6 months into comedy.
Yeah.
And you were like, I know everything. Like, I'm a great comedian. So
That's a great point, bro.
yeah. So I think the further you progress and the more experience you have, you'll always think yourself a little bit dumber in the past. But sometimes you do hold on to those like convictions and stuff. And what I'm saying is just through my experience as a comedian and seeing other great comedians emulate that, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Like, I think a lot of comedians that are in like the club circuits, like, headliners and stuff, they check in with the crowd. They make it like an experience.
Definitely.
Instead of like a comic that's in like a theater, it's like, obviously you can't talk to the crowd really.
Yeah.
So you are getting up there and like, you are monologuing.
Although I want to say, like, I'm seeing clips of like Trevor Wallace, for example, in these huge fucking theaters, and I don't know what media team he has, but they're getting these great crowd work moments, and it's like praise to them, right? That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it's sick. He actually had a really good one at Florida Theater in Jacksonville that my ex-girlfriend was like next to the person talking to him.
No,
She reposted it and I watched it and I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
Should have shit on it, dude.
No, Trevor.
I love Trevor.
Yeah, he's
really funny.
yeah, he's great.
and he's been like going at it for a minute in terms of like the social stuff,
Yeah.
like his audience and
Yeah,
everything.
his White Claw video is
Yeah, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying.
that's
That's like so funny because that's exactly what I was thinking.
that's like internet history now.
exactly.
Now, this is when you're drinking claws.
Yeah, bro. and what was I going to say before you just did that epic White Claw statement? Dude, I saw a video of Trevor being like, all right, I'm going to do 6 mics in one night. And not mics,
Yeah.
but it was like showcase. And he's just like at the Comedy Store, at this place, back at the Comedy Store. Oh, Nikki Glacier's on the show. I'm like, dude, what kind of fucking life are you living? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's why LA personally would get me more excited. Well, no, I just would rather live in Los Angeles minus the politics than I would in New York. And I know it's not the same stand-up scene, but I just care about like my quality of life. If New York wasn't so cold, you know, who knows? Maybe New York would be it for me. But
Yeah,
I do think New York is the mecca, don't you?
Yeah, I think each place like New York, Austin, LA, Chicago.
Dude, how many times are you gonna fucking burp on this pod? I'm gonna have to throw these mics out. Just thinking up the studio.
Sorry. Yeah, I think New York is kind of the mecca of comedy because it's like it's very tight with the audience, and it's like there's a certain pace that I think a lot of New York comedians have that are it's just quicker. It's more laughs per minute. And when you're at a show, you obviously
LPMs.
yeah, you want as many laughs as you can get.
Dude, you really break it down like it's a fucking...
Yeah, I'm very like scientific about comedy because I think it's.
At least got four LP sets.
Yeah, I think it's very much like an art form, but I think it's also when like Sam Talent brought this up and it made me kind of like switch my thinking of it. He's like, I think stand up is a craft.
Mm-hmm.
Is what he says, and I kind of agree because like if you go through all the trials of like open mics and you're just around comedy as much as you can be, you'll start thinking in like a setup left turn way. So I think you can not be inherently funny. Like I'm doing great on this podcast. I've cracked 4 jokes.
Bro, you were gas. This is like the best podcast since DC Benny.
I don't think I'm inherently funny, but I think I have a work ethic that can make up for that. And like I'm quick enough on stage, like I'm starting to show my real personality a lot more on stage, like getting my voice on stage where I'm not having to filter thoughts. I'm just like going with the first thing I think and it's working most of the time.
Definitely.
So I think it is a little bit of a craft, but it is also an art form. Like that's like, you know, the real creative aspect of it, of like some jokes and stuff and like stories and bits and like the stuff DC does is like it's killer.
Yeah.
Like it's any room, anywhere.
It's like scientifically good.
It's scientifically good. Yeah. So I think there's a good mix. But yeah, I don't know where this rant was going. But
Well, bro, you know where it's going? It's going. We got to get out of here because we're already 29 minutes in. It looks like. Plus, we have the external interview. Adam has to work. I have to work. You have a show. Where can people find you and all your plugs? Let me get that out.
Thank you. It's just follow Gettin' Jimmy with It on Instagram. So it's like the Will Smith song, Gettin' Jiggy with It, but it's my name. So Gettin' Jimmy with It on Instagram. I'm gonna post a lot more clips this year. Got a camera this year, so hopefully have a little bit more of a online presence.
So any comedy clubs or groups that they should follow as well?
Yes. If you're in the Jacksonville area or ever coming to the Jacksonville area, follow River City Comedy on Instagram. It's yellow words with a black background, or it's yellow and black. You'll see it. So we're like a comedy group in Jacksonville that does a lot of local showcases and stuff. We also are like the producers for Best of Jacks at Comedy Zone every Wednesday when there's not a headliner. So we throw a lot of stuff in Jacksonville, and it's all, you know, local comics, and it's all good.
I want you to do one last thing, and then we'll close out the pod. Can you tell me your 2026 goals inside of comedy, and can we document that here right now?
Yeah, for sure. So 2026 goals for comedy is do a 20-minute like standard feature set. And it's something we talked about this morning of like you can do it and then you can have a goal where you want to do something and then be proud of it. So it's like a 20-minute feature set that I'm proud of, which I think is a big mile marker. I want to do more act outs.
Yeah.
Because I think, again, from the DC Benny, he takes like every aspect of comedy, like voices, act outs, stage presence.
Yeah.
And I think if you can get all the pieces of the pie, you will be a better stand-up comedian. So I want to do more act outs for sure. I want to do the 20 feature. And yeah, I also want to travel more for comedy. And even like tonight, Adam, we had the show that got canceled, and then the Funny Bone Mike. So I want to just travel more around Florida doing stand-up and like getting a little bit more known in other scenes.
Absolutely.
Just also you just like expand your stand-up horizon that way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you so much for having me, man.
It won't be the last time, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, man.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. This has been episode 34 of Your Only Friends. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. And if you want to support the show by buying Chuga, the link is in our bio. This gives you minerals that you're not receiving through your food, and it will make you last forever. Okay, have a great one, guys.